In Vancouver, we're just about into the final half hour of 13 on Scotiabank Hockey Day in Canada. Big challenge it is, I don't mind admitting, to keep people watching after 13 hours. And we think we have just the man to do it. We've brought in the closer, Kevin Bieksa. How's that for a no-pressure intro?
I'll do my best.
Well, all right, on that topic, this is your third appearance on the program, and you met, by accident, our producer, Tim Davis, at a coffee shop this week, and he reported to me that you said to him, "I'll be better this time." Not that there was anything wrong with your first two appearances, but what did you mean by that?
You're just bigging me up here. Like, you're just setting everybody up for disappointment. I said I try to be as myself as possible, and I wouldn't hesitate to go after you a little bit.
Good.
Oh, really?
All right. Well,
that's what I said, but who knows what? Maybe I'll shy away now that you're right in front of me.
Believe you me, that's what the show needs. Well, look, here's a serious question then. This is a tweet from the handle is Shut Off the Valve. He's stuck in a car for 10 hours with Kessler or Burrows. Which one would he pick and why?
Oh, wow. That's a very tough one. I'd have to probably say Kess because he's my roommate, so I can tolerate him in larger doses than Burr, but you know, that'd be a tough one for sure.
I'm going to leave it to Kelly to say the show now with a serious hockey question.
No, actually, I'll go to that later. But first off, about the tweeting and so on, you're not on Twitter. I had actually somebody send me a message asking me why, because even your general manager, Mike Gillis, is on. Seems social networking is the thing that everybody does. Even Scott and I were going at each other earlier today. And why aren't you?
I think Mike Gillis probably has more time on his hands than I do.
Ooh, I do like your personality.
I have two little kids at home running around. His kids are a little bit older, so you know, he's probably tweeting while he's watching the games and stuff like that. I haven't got into it yet. I don't really read a whole lot of that stuff, but you know, I have friends and family that tweet a little bit.
For sure.
All right, let's get to a couple plays from tonight.
So one of your tasks tonight was facing against Ginla's line with Morrison, and then they were rotating the left wingers. We have a play here where you and Ginla were tied up. He fell on you. Tell us the difficulties about playing Jerome and this play in particular.
Yeah, well, he just trying to make the line tough there on the penalty kill, and you know, I always get up for these matchups against Calgary. I love playing against him. He's one of the premier players in the league, and he's one of the most physical power forwards in the league, and that's why I like playing against him. And tonight, I thought we did a great job. So
now I have another video for you. In the second period, there's a chance right down over here. I was watching it, and you pinched down on Glenn Cross. You had a long way to go, and for the people out there, the kids out there, or the parents that are teaching their defense and when to pinch and what to look for, what are some of the signs that you're looking for?
Well, you want to usually go when you think you can get there first. In that case, he was going, and I could kind of see him turning his back to me, so I knew he couldn't make a play on it. So that's why I continued to go, and I knew if I could just push the puck down in the zone, we wouldn't be any trouble, and you know, maybe prolong our time in their zone. So there are times when I do get caught, but I think I've kind of learned when to go and when not to, and there's definitely time to pull back.
What's the deciding factor for you when you are going to pinch, when you go after the puck or play the body?
I don't know. Guys are different. For me, I go for the puck. I pinch when I think I can get to the puck first, and if I can poke it through and then follow through with a hit, I do, but I'm usually looking for the puck when I pinch.
Listen, Kevin, before we get to your revival season, because that in many ways is what it's been for you. It's your best season by a long shot in 3. Let's talk about the team and what's going on here. Expectations for the Canucks this year were high to start, and for the most part you have played up to them, but to an extent we saw this a year ago when expectations were high, and then there was an earlier playoff exit than expected. So here's the question then, and it's from Stacey Albano. It's a tweet. What will it take to get over the hump after being ousted by Chicago in the conference semis in the last 2 seasons?
Oh, it sounds like we have to beat Chicago to get over the hump. We've the last 2 seasons, we've honestly felt that we had a good enough team to make it to the Stanley Cup final, and Chicago's gotten our way twice there, and you know, we had a big win against them a couple weeks ago, and we've actually done well against them this season. And I think, you know, once you get in the playoffs, that's where you can kind of prove your destiny, and that's when you have to win games. So until we do that, you know, we haven't proven anything to ourselves. We've had a great regular season so far, but in our dressing room, it doesn't really mean a whole lot. We don't really put a whole lot into that. Trying to get in the playoffs and do some damage there.
Seems to me like you guys have made a big step too, because not for you guys, but some other teams that are making their way through to the top, every once in a while when they play a big team. They always say, "Oh, this is a measuring stick for us," and I don't hear that from you guys, because I personally think teams shouldn't say that, because it's all about you anyways, and you shouldn't be measuring yourself. They should be measuring them up to you. You guys are in charge. And do you feel that in the dressing room, that you guys are just worrying about your own game?
Yeah, I think so. And we talked about that at the beginning of the season. We were kind of having some problems on the road earlier in the year, where we're playing really well at home. We go on the road and we change our game a little bit, and we adapt to other teams. And we kind of talked about it. Let's just play our game every night, night in, night out. Forget about if it's at home on the road. Worry about the things that we're doing, and it's worked out for us.
Well, let's talk about your game, which this season has been outstanding. Well on the plus side, over 20, I think, coming into this game. You were a minus player last year, but it seems that you're playing to the level that everybody expected you would have maybe 4 years ago. I know the injuries you had over the course of the last 3 years, those 2 leg lacerations, really were brutal. But those aside, what's changed for you this year to see your game get in such order?
Well, I've always been one of those guys who just tries to get better every season, and I think I've just kind of taken everything I've learned the last few years and applied it a little bit more this year. And I think the main thing is I've been healthy the whole time. Had a full training camp, a full summer of training, felt good, and came in and meshed with Dan Hamhuis quite early and developed some chemistry with him. And just been learning from my mistakes. I think I'm a little bit more patient player on the ice than I have been in the past. In the past, I've wanted to run around and make stuff happen at times, and Rick Bowness has said that to me a whole lot. Let the game come to you instead of chasing it around.
Yeah, that was his comment, wasn't it? Let's not chase the game.
Yeah. And he's a wise man. So when Rick Bowness speaks, I listen.
So do I.
So do you. I know. So does everybody.
Well, how do you become patient and a little bit more calm on the ice when one of your attributes is your aggressive play, and how do you sort of still stay aggressive and prepared, but yet don't run around quite as much?
Yeah, well, you read the game, and there's times to step up and to play physical. In the corner is a good time to be physical. In front of our net, even better. But like we were just talking about pinching, there's a time when you don't think you can get there, maybe just pull out, and it saves your team a 2-on-1 against, and little things like that I've kind of learned over time.
Trading you now would be unthinkable, but it was a consideration in the offseason when the Vancouver Canucks signed Hamhuis and Ballard, and you looked like the most likely candidate to be moved to solve the Canucks salary cap woes. In fact,
is that what they were saying?
Well, I'm getting to that. Yeah. Because you said it yourself on Off the Record with Michael Landsberg. You said, hey, I can see what's going on here. I can put 2 and 2 together. So,
well,
I guess the question is, did you spend a part of the offseason and perhaps training camp thinking you'd be traded?
I don't know. I didn't really think about it a whole lot. I was prepared for whatever was going to happen, but I've been saying it all along, I had a great summer. Like I said, I have 2 kids running around and had a good relaxing summer at home with them. I took care of my own business. I trained and came back to camp, and wherever I was going to be ready to play hockey. And it's worked out here. I'm happy about that, and glad I'm still a Canuck.
Did you or your agent talk to Mike Gillis about that?
Sorry, what?
The situation that people were talking about? Because I know I've been around teammates. It happened to me. When I heard things like that, I would either go ask the manager or my agent would say, hey, listen, Kelly just needs a little clarity. Don't listen, or he's not trying to rock the boat. He's not asking for a trade. He just needs to know a little bit for peace of mind.
All the feedback I got throughout the summer, through my agent, through Mike, I actually met with him in August for brunch when he was in Toronto, and everything I got from him was positive feedback. And as far as I was concerned, from the team, I was going to be around, and the only things I was hearing were from the media. So you're right, it did give me clarity, and that's why I felt so comfortable.
Good.
Here's a tweet from MWB11, I think it is. Basically, the question is, did those preseason trade rumors push you to play a better game, or were you just playing your game?
No, I don't think they had a whole lot of effect on me. Like I said, I had a good summer for training, and it's just been one of those seasons where the team's playing well, so I probably look a little bit better than I'm playing just because the team's doing so well. So like I said, the trade rumors didn't really affect my game a whole lot.
Are you sick of this trade topic now?
No, I love it. Let's keep it going.
You love it.
What else you got?
Kevin, fighting is chancy. I think hockeyfights.com has you at 24-1-3, which tells us that most often you win. And we are used to seeing you win like this. This was a fight you had with Aaron Boros, I think, just before Christmas. And one shot, and it was over. Here it is. You don't have to say anything, but
Well,
this is
give the guy a little credit. It was more than one shot.
well.
Yeah,
Well,
quite a few more.
Yeah.
I count about 15.
He hangs in there pretty good.
Was one too many for him, put it that way. So when this happened a few weeks ago in a game against the Calgary Flames, it got a lot of reaction. Tom Kostopoulos caught you with the shot. So as I say, a lot of reaction. What was yours?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Fighting's it's one of those things. It's bare knuckle combat, so it's not like boxing. You don't have gloves on. When you get hit with a shot, it's gonna leave a mark, and he got me with a good one there. But you know, I'm a big MMA fan, and GSP says when you're sitting in the pocket banging, you're just basically flipping a coin. So that's what happens when you're in there and you're throwing. Sometimes you get caught, and sometimes you hit the other guy. So. You know, I like getting hit. I think I said that to you earlier today. It kind of wakes you up and it makes you hungrier. So, you know, I have no ill feelings towards him for that fight.
What was it you said afterwards? My daughter has headbutted me harder than that.
And yeah, that's a true story. You know, it seems like every couple days I got a bleeding nose from somebody in my family hitting me. So, whether I should be passing that on or not. But yeah, I've been hit plenty before in my life. I grew up with pretty physical dad and brothers, as everybody probably knows, and that's just a part of my upbringing.
I spent a lot of time with PJ Stock on Fridays, and he's a big fan of MMA and all that kind of stuff, and he's actually taught me a lot about fighting. Has that MMA and the other one I don't know.
Want to mix it up a little bit right now for the viewers?
Trust me.
Show
you see Aaron
Go ahead.
Boers where you killed him there? That'd be me. But have you learned anything about fighting and the way in which you attack somebody from that?
I think fighting has definitely evolved in the last 10, 15 years, and MMA's been a big part of it. There's different strategies now, and a lot of guys are studying fighting like they haven't before. There's a couple websites out there, hockeyfights.com is one of them, and I bet you probably 80% of guys who fight in the league watch that website and study different guys and different tendencies. So, you know, it's something that I've just kind of watched my whole career just for fun because I enjoy it, but it's also a learning tool.
That actually leads me somewhere then. One of my most important tools to get ready for a game, I had to know what if a guy shot right or left. That was my key. So now if you're getting into a fight, do you know who's a lefty and a righty right off the get-go?
Yeah, most of the time. Most of the time you do, and you know, you hope that you know most of their tendencies. Obviously, there's times where guys get called up and you're not too familiar with them, but you know, there's always been on this team a couple of us that kind of just chit-chat every once in a while. Oh, what do you think about this guy? What do you think of that guy? What do you think he's going to do? So it's something you're aware of, but it's a part of the game these days, right? And you know, you want to set yourself up the best you can.
Although, Kevin, I guess to a large extent it's about picking your spot. So sometimes it's not a fight. Sometimes it's just letting the guy know that you're there or that you're willing to go if you have to. Not that you would have gone with Thomas Holmstrom, because I don't think he goes with many guys. But this was, what, I think about a month ago, and January 8th, and you tap the gloves just once.
And you have a smile on your face.
That's the thing. I know what I'm getting into there, and I don't expect him to drop the gloves, and I have no intention of dropping them with him, but he's in front of that net, and he's a pain. He's been a pain for a long time for me, so whenever I can get a lick on that guy, I take it for sure.
All right, moving on. Mike Keane at the MTS Center in Winnipeg tonight had his number retired, became the first member of the Manitoba Moose to have his number raised to the rafters. He is the quintessential pro. Finished his career with 5 solid seasons in Manitoba after winning the Stanley Cup with 3 different teams. And you had, I think, your career.
Where does hair go? Look at this guy.
Your career's intersected, I think, for about half a season. What did he teach you about being a pro?
See, I had played with Keener after I'd been up in the NHL for a half a season, so I was already kind of adapting to the lifestyle. And then I go down and I see a guy who's even that much more professional than what I've seen before. A real champion who won 3 Stanley Cups. First chance I got to play with somebody who was a Stanley Cup champion, and you know, he had some tattooed on his ankle, so I kind of like take a little peek every once in a while and remind you. For me,
tattoos of the cups, right, that he won.
Yeah. What do you think?
Well, I just want to make that perfectly clear.
Tattoo, and they're on the ankle, right? They're not on the back of his, you know. But you know, this is a guy that I watched as a kid growing up, and Burroughs and I have talked about a lot. I bet you some of the kids that play with him the last few years don't even know who this guy is. But I watched him play in the 90s with Montreal, and you know, he was just a great professional, guy that worked so hard, but had a lot of fun as well. And that's kind of what I saw, and I want to be like this guy. I want to, as soon as the puck's dropped, I want to go out there and work hard, play hard. Guy blocks shots in practice. He does it all. And then as still has a good time. One thing I remember with him, you might not like this, but every warm-up, at the end of the warm-up, you're doing the half-moon shooting.
Yeah.
And he'd get the puck at the top of the circle, and he'd skate in as fast as he could, just inside the hash marks, full wind-up slap shot, top shelf, every warm-up. And then he kind of like do a loop around with that big smirk on his face.
Hey, 22 seasons in the game, and no one told him you're supposed to make your goaltender look good in the warm-up.
He didn't care. He's going top shelf every chance he got, but full slap shot from the slot. I've never seen anything like that, and it just kept everybody loose.
Wow.
It's Hockey Day in Canada. It's the day on which we celebrate the game. We get back to our roots of hockey, and you're playing in the NHL in magnificent buildings like this in 29 other cities, and you're flying on charters, and you're staying in first-class hotels. So it would be easy, even though this is your job. Your job is to help the Canucks win, but it would be easy to lose touch with the roots of the game. So what do you do to stay in touch with where you came from as a hockey player?
Well, for me, I go back every summer to where I grew up, and my wife and I are from the same small town, and all of our family's back there. So we go back there, and the place I've been skating and training since I was probably 7, 8 years old, where I used to just go out for open shinny, get dropped off by my parents for 2-3 hours, and play by myself, and get picked up. I still go back there every summer. I wouldn't say it's in the best shape for an arena. You still got the mold in the showers and all that, but that's where I train in the summer. And I've had a few different new facilities come to me and say, "Do you want to bring your pro skates over to us? And we have a training facility for you and everything." And to me, that's hockey, and that's my roots. So I go back to the Hamilton Double Rinks every summer, and that's where I skate.
That's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. All right, the Grand Forks Pee Wee Rep Bruins, winners of the Canucks poster contest on Hockey Day in Canada, are going to join us when we come back in our next segment, and they'll help us all stay grounded on Scotiabank Hockey Day in Canada and After Hours. All right, back at the Rogers Arena as we continue on Scotiabank Hockey Day in Canada. Our guest is Kevin Bieksa. Last week we announced the Grand Forks Pee Wee Rep Bruins as the winners of the Canucks Hockey Day in Canada poster contest. And apparently they were not too excited to learn they'd be spending a good portion of the day with the Canucks. This is the winning poster that honors their association's history. So they spent the day with the Canucks, or part of it. Took a 7-hour bus ride into here last night, so they're practice this morning, lunch this afternoon. Great seats from which to watch the game tonight. So lifetime memories for the Bruins, who join us now on After Hours. Excuse me, boys, I'm all choked up. I could use some water, Cassidy, if you could help me here. All right, what's been the best part of the day?
Best part
of the day? This is Colby, by the way.
I don't know. Probably watching the morning skate is a very good experience for me. I don't know. I've never actually seen anybody in Vancouver Canucks skate like without a game. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's weird. But, yeah.
Are you trying to take Kelly Rudy's job?
Want to have a seat right beside me?
I should point out, too, that the Grand Forks Pee Wee Rep Bruins are only 12 players in total, 2 goaltenders, so 10 skaters, and you're going to the Provincials in Chetwynd, which is, about a 14-hour bus ride from Grand Forks in northern BC. Well, all right. Well, congratulations on that. So, Colby, you got a question for Kevin?
Kevin, have you ever knocked out a player in a fight?
We were just talking about that.
Yeah. Well, did you see my last fight, though? Yeah. I've been in a few fights where I've been on the winning side, and I've been on a few I've been on the losing side. But you fight for a reason, though. You fight to stick up for your teammates or for yourself, and usually when you do that, it's a win-win situation.
Yeah. On the topic, Kevin, of staying grounded, the Canucks had a brother-sister trip a few weeks ago. Usually it's a father-son trip, but this year was a sibling trip, and I understand it was your idea.
Yeah, we had a meeting last year, actually, the captain's group with Elaine, and he kind of asked, what do you guys want to do this year? Do you want to do mothers or fathers? And I kind of came up with the idea of having a siblings trip and had to explain to him what a sibling was first, but we skipped... True story. We skipped last year for whatever reason, and we ended up having it this year. But you see the pictures there. Brothers had and sisters had an unbelievable time. They were really involved. They got to come into the dressing room for the pregame meeting. They got to come power play meeting there, and you know, my brother, the Kingpin, was voted the captain of the siblings, so he had a great time.
Well, you have two brothers, Marty and Brian, and it's Marty that you picked to go on the trip because Brian was afraid to fly, you said, right?
Yeah, well, don't say that on camera.
Sorry.
Guy's watching right now. Scar him for life.
Okay. Brian was unavailable for the trip.
He was working. He was working.
Yeah. Anyway, there's no mistaking that Marty's your brother. You guys don't have quite the Sedin-like resemblance, but you can easily pick up that you're brothers. So here's a tweet from C_Litz. Both you and your brother look a lot alike. In your opinion, who is the better looking, you or your brother?
Well, you know what? The younger brother actually gets the most compliments, but my older brother Marty, I think he had a portfolio when he was a little bit earlier, so he kind of tried to get into the modeling thing early, really? But I don't think that really goes over well in our family. So he put that to rest, and he got a real job.
Grand Forks Pee Wee Rep Bruins. Anybody's got another question for Kevin? Go ahead. What's your name?
Chase.
Okay. What position do you play?
I play left wing.
All right.
What's your most memorable moment since you joined the Canucks?
Good question. Your first game is usually one of them. I started my first game, and I've told this story a few times. 10 seconds in, the puck was won back to Matthias Olin, my partner. D over to me, and I gave Brendan Morrison suicide pass. He got hammered, and so obviously I feel bad, so I run up, and then I end up taking a penalty. So 10 seconds in, I'm in the penalty box after giving my teammate suicide pass. So I hope you guys all have a better start to NHL careers than that. But
that would be your most memorable moment. Okay.
Well, no. Come on, let me.
You're not finished.
Second part was beating Dallas. My first playoff game went to quadruple overtime, so beating those guys in fourth overtime was a great moment.
The Bieksa Cup is a big thing in your family. Your father, Big Al, has been quoted as saying that when you finally win the Stanley Cup, then maybe you'll be qualified to make a run at the Bieksa Cup. We love Big Al for saying that sort of stuff. But anyway,
what's wrong with that guy? He's got 2 years of MVPs. Like, where's the last 5 years of MVPs? They're too drunk that they forget to put it on the trophy.
But that's not going to scar them. Telling
they're drinking.
Saying that your brother's afraid to fly.
They're drinking. And they're like, oh, who won by the way this year?
It's usually played at Christmas time, so you haven't had a chance to play in it a lot lately. But okay, you and Katie have 2 children. Your daughter Reese, 16 months. Cole is 3. How long before Cole is ready for the Bieksa Cup?
Well, judging by the caliber of hockey, probably next year. He's close. He's been out on the ice here before practice a few times, and he loves the game and loves mini sticks. I just got to figure out which way he shoots, because he shoots both ways right now. So he uses a straight blade until he figures that part out.
You and Ryan Kessler are close. I know you love to chirp each other, but you do have mutual respect. So here's a very serious question. What do you make of his emergence as a fashion designer with his own clothing line?
Well, that's a serious question?
Clearly not. But
you know, I don't know. There's not a whole lot I can say about that on camera. I've given it to him enough about it. I actually rejected the offer. The first offer was proposed to me, and I said no. Next thing you know, this guy's modeling in his underwear.
No.
So I'm glad I'm not that guy modeling in my underwear. He's got the confidence and the body to do it, so good for him.
Well, you just answered the question. It's a tweet from now. I've just lost it. Here it is.
Tweet.
From Canuck Girl 16. I want to know when the KB3 clothing line is coming out.
Yeah, not for a while. I got to be hurting for money, I think, to come out with that. But I'll stick to hockey. I'll stick to the few things that I do endorse that I believe in.
Thanks for your time, Kevin.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks
for having me. Thanks, Kev.
Kevin Bieksa, the Vancouver Canucks, our guest on After Hours with a special appearance from the Grand Forks Pee Wee Rep Bruins, winners of the Canucks Poster Day contest. We'll hear from the iDesk and take care of some other business when we come back.